If you're walking or driving across a bridge that goes over the Tittabawassee River at this time of year, you're likely to see this sight. 20, 30, 50, and sometimes even 100 ice fishermen out there just feet away from the flowing river current, and they are catching walleyes. Some dandy walleye, big walleye, right here from the Tittabawassee River system flowing into Saginaw Bay. Some excellent walleye fishing, some perch fishing too, that we did. I'm going to take you along, so join me, Fred Trost. It's Thursday night, time to go perch fishing on Michigan Outdoors. Well, here we go, Bob, ice fishing out on Saginaw Bay. This is one of the trips I enjoy, taking the bronc out on the ice like this. I really do. If you have four-wheel drive, chances of getting stuck are fairly slim. And with 16, 18 inches of ice, I'm not worried about it.
No, and they have been driving on that ice for 2 to 3 weeks anyway, and we were following some people that definitely knew their way around it.
Of course, you had a few reservations about it.
Well, anytime you go out on the ice, you want to make sure you're safe, and I had less reservations following people that had done it for a couple of weeks, though.
Well, this is the way to go, I think, if you can take your car out on the ice, if it's thick enough, if it's safe, which right now after this warm weather, I doubt it. But this was shot just before we had all that melting. And of course, on an open bay like this, where the wind is whipping, it is extremely handy to have some type of protection. And an ice shanty is ideal. It protects you from all sides, and you can run a heater in here as well. And a portable shanty like this is really the berries, I think.
Well, it's a simple shanty, too. Just with that canvas there, it allows you to take it anywhere.
Of course, half of the bottom of the shanty is a plywood board, and this half comes out because we're going to bore some holes in the ice and fish right in the shanty. If you have an old chainsaw, you can cut a spearing type of hole in the ice, a big rectangle. But for perch fishing, all you need is some round holes, 6 or 8 inches. And of course, you can't beat a power auger for drilling those holes.
But that ice was so thick that if they got 4 or 5 more inches, they would have had to get extensions on those power augers.
Right. A lot of the anglers who fish Saginaw Bay all winter long do have extensions for their augers, because the ice sometimes, it's been recorded as thick as 3 feet. Incredible. And it's about half that thickness today, but we have the holes, moved the shanty over the holes, and now the heater.
Hold your ears, guys.
There we go. We got that going in the shanty. The gas bottle, of course, is kept on the outside. And Bob, this is where you literally holed up for the day.
I sure did. That wind was kind of bitter, and that was the warmest, nicest place on the whole bay.
Now, there were some folks out there who must have had plenty of long underwear who didn't have protection, and they were catching fish, that particular group was. And our little shanty town here took quite a few. We have people who use their vehicles to either stay behind, or like this fella, he gave me the idea. So I got in the bronc and I turned the motor on and got the heat going. And I caught a little perch.
And you caught the smallest perch of the day.
I think I did, just about. But I tell you, there were some nice ones taken, although they were running fairly small. Now, the fishing, goes back and forth, and maybe 2 or 3 days out of the week it'll be hot, and it's hard to predict when it will. But that is a nice perch. Good eating, and sometimes they get into the jumbos. That's what everybody's looking for, the 12, 14 inchers.
These fellas here have a tip-up set on Saginaw Bay. Kind of unusual. We'll have to find out what they're fishing for. Got a pretty good mess of perch. 2 of you's in here, huh? Whoa, this is really nice.
Yeah, we're getting a few.
What are you heating in that stove?
Wood, oak.
Just wood? Okay, yeah, it smells different than the gas out here when you're behind a shanty. Holy cow, you guys got little minnows. Look at these, OJ.
Yeah, all we're doing is double hooking.
These double hooking them?
Yeah, I got a Swedish pimple on the bottom, and then up about 6 inches, I got about a number, well, what would it be? Probably a number 6 hook.
Okay. And you've been doing, you got one now?
No.
Yep, nope. There's a lot of yep, nope out here. Let's see that rig that you have.
Well, that's
Pull
kind
it
of
out here.
basically what we're doing. If you can get her separated there, I put a Swedish pimple on the bottom, and
And then a hook out about a number 8, number 10 hook?
yeah, or what, that about 6, isn't it? Somewhere around there.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And you just jig it.
Just jig it. It seems to be doing pretty good for us.
Yeah, well, you got, looks like maybe 30 or so.
Yeah. We've been doing good for the last 2 weeks. Real good out here.
Oh, we got one coming here. Oh, Jay,
Just a little.
should I make way? Is it a huge one?
No, just a little wimp.
A little one?
Oh, hey, there's one.
You're not keeping that size, are you?
No,
A bit too small to fillet.
no. Yeah. We've been here a half hour ago, hey?
Well, now, what's the story here, Brad? Is your dad getting all of the big ones?
Yeah,
Most of them?
yeah. I never catch nothing too big.
Is that right?
He always beats me.
Why is that, Pop?
I don't know. I don't think he holds his mouth right. Maybe that's the problem.
Oh, he's yawning. Maybe he sleeps a little bit.
Yeah. Now, the guy...
Oh, you got one, Brad?
Yeah.
Well, okay.
Same
Let's
size.
see.
Nothing too
Show it out. Show us the. Everybody wants to see. Now that's a little bigger.
A little bit.
That's bigger than Pop's.
A little bit.
And he threw it back.
Yeah, Brad and Bernie Hebert, father and son team, great way to spend the day. And they really did load up on the perch. But you know the technique, Bob, and it was interesting. I saw this in Tom Opry's column. I think it was last week. Jiggle the bait a little bit, jiggle the lure, and then let it set, because that's when the perch hit, when it's sitting, and then give it another jiggle. But don't be moving that bait too much.
Well, I think we found that out. We had to kind of hold that bait steady and let them come up and take it.
You rolling? Oh, come on. Not good. Did I lose the line there? Oh, he's over in my hole. Come on. Oh, there he is. I thought he was going to be a huge one. I had such great expectations.
Well, you always have big expectations, Bob, for these perch. A lot of them are small, but here's Gail.
Gail Bedore from Gail's Bait and Tackle up at
This is the
Quantico.
day's
See,
worth,
he's
huh?
got the touch.
Hey, this isn't too bad. I'm still sticking it out here to the bitter end, seeing if I can get one more. But dump them out there. We got some nice ones.
They got a few more left in there.
Do they?
Yep.
Well, that's a heck of a mess.
Well, I don't know. They were hitting today.
Yeah, we got some nice ones there. Bob made a good mess of fish. The day when you're done fishing, the nice thing about these portable shanties is you can take them right down, and all kinds of shanties are out there. This is a homemade one on a snowmobile sled. There's a lot of folks who go out there, fellas, who go by themselves, and they can put these up. They have their heater, their gas bottle, auger on the front, snowmobile, even a CB radio, the whole works.
They spend all day out there like you would in a deer blind opening day or whatever.
Right, a lot of fun. You know, we had to head back. Now, with the Bronco, across the ice, and sometimes in the winter you do encounter problems on Saginaw Bay. This is the classic right here, the pressure crack. Sometimes pressure cracks open up, caused from the wave action out in the open water in the bay. Here we have a pressure crack that had been opened and then closed, causing the ice to jam up. A potentially dangerous situation, of course, if that whole ice flow breaks off. We even had some water. This wasn't open water right here, but it's water that had come up during the day through the ice. But that was not there in the morning when we crossed over it.
No, it sure wasn't.
Adds a little adventure.
Well, you have to just find a safe place to cross. Be forever on the lookout for those pressure cracks.
Now, people were probably going to get some letters on this. We're nuts for doing this and showing it on TV. But look at this, Bob. This is fishing on the Tittabawassee River where they're really slamming the walleye. And for the faint-hearted, this type of fishing isn't suitable either. But it's a good way to catch walleye, and the ice is thick enough on the side of the river where the current isn't so stiff.
Everything I've been told, Ian Scott, is that the fishing picks up about 5 o'clock.
Well,
And here you are leaving.
got to go home for supper.
Oh, do you? You having walleye for supper?
No, not tonight, tomorrow night.
Okay, well, you're about 3 short of your limit here today. But these are nice walleye. That's, how do you catch them?
Jigging with a jig and with a minnow on it.
Well, let's see which one. You have 2 rigs here, I see. This is the one that caught these 2?
Right. That's
Looks like a little Clio or
little
something.
Clio.
Oh, that's what it is.
little blue and white Clio. And you put a minnow on it. And split shot to hold it down.
I see, because there's quite a current in the
Right,
river.
quite a current, yeah. If you don't have no weight on it, well, just bellies out under the ice and you don't reach the fish.
Now, how much line do you let out?
Approximately 10 foot.
So not very far.
No.
Now, how do these walleye battle?
They put up quite a fight in the current.
Well, that gives them a little help.
Oh, yeah, of quite a little help.
Now, have you caught walleye here quite a few times before?
No, this is my first time here.
No kidding?
Right.
Okay, these are nice walleye. How long have you been here?
Since about 2 o'clock.
So in 3 hours you picked up 2 walleye.
Yeah, and I lost 3. So.
Oh, did you?
Oh yeah.
How come?
Well, you don't catch them all.
How are the other people doing?
Every once in a while, a guy gets one.
Morning and evening are best for walleye. Perch seem to do best during the daylight hours, a perfect combination for a Saginaw Bay ice fishing day in Michigan outdoors. Well, as comfortable and as adventurous as it looks to take a car out into the ice, that was okay a couple weeks ago. But nowadays, I would not recommend it. The rain we've had, the thaws, bad news for ice conditions. In fact, I'd venture a guess that the conditions are going to be too poor for cars in most areas for the rest of the winter. So we're going to stick to snowmobiles or hoofing it. By the way, Saginaw Bay, fair to good perch fishing from Augrey all the way down to Bay City. Of course, the Tittabawassee River and the hot water discharge off Bay City has been producing tremendous catches of walleyes and tremendous walleyes, 9, 10, and 11 pounders. In our Outdoor Digest, checking our trophy book section for the big fish that were taken last year at this time, out of 8 perch reported to the Master Angler Program, only 1 was taken in Saginaw Bay. The other 7 of them were taken up here in Bay de Noc. Little Bay de Noc seems to be the hot spot for huge perch in the winter, but lately the perch fishing has been spotty. The walleye fishing has been slow, but some anglers have caught some smelt fishing for perch with wigglers or minnows. The winter severity index up here in the UP is reported, at least before this last thaw, was 1/3 more severe than it was a year ago at this time. Bad news for deer, except the melting puts a crust on the snow. It helps the deer get above the snow. It helps the rabbits, also helps the rabbit hunters pull the rabbit hunting out of the doldrums it's been in for the past few weeks. 3 sturgeon were taken in Black Lake on the opening of sturgeon season. Not a real good showing, but that's expected to pick up. The locals up there say it will. Steelhead fishing below Tippy Dam has been great. That's been holding up all season long. For goose hunters, for the late goose season, most of the geese seem to have moved south with this bad weather we've had, except the eastern portion of Washtenaw County has been an area where there have been some good goose populations. One last thing, pike, hot spot. Pontiac Lake, better than ever, reported by Wayne Magdalena of Kelly's Sport Shop. He says it's hot fishing there right now. I wonder if Pontiac Lake has a Master Angler trophy fish. If it does and you catch it, you could make our trophy book. What kind of fish is this? You recognize it? Well, Judy Hemmeter from Saginaw caught it, and she didn't even know exactly what it was. She put down bowfin on her Fishing Awards entry form, but it's a burbot, a freshwater codfish, really. It's smooth, mottled skin, and rounded tail, a barbel on its chin. Those are all giveaways. She caught it January 2nd on a tip-up in Lake Huron off Tawas. It's 32 inches long, 9.5 pounds. Burbot move into shallow water for their winter spawning runs, and they are excellent eating, by the way. Now, what about this fish? Silvery gray scales, forked tail, a small mouth. It's a trophy lake whitefish caught on February 2nd in Saginaw Bay by Michael Steve of Caucaulin. He was probably fishing for perch with the minnow. Mike's trophy was 29 inches long, nearly 9 pounds. Now, this is easy to identify even in black and white. It's shaped like a muskie, but we know it's a pike from its whitish bean-shaped spots. It's a huge northern, too, 26 pounds, 46 inches long. This pike was speared on Croton Pond near Newego by Les Wolford from Jenison. Now, Ken Floyd from Columbiaville has an unusual story to go along with his first Master Angler catch. It's a black crappie. Ken was dangling a sucker minnow under a tip-up in a lake in Lapeer County. He was fishing for pike, that's his favorite fish to catch. Well, the flag went up, and this 2-pound, 5-ounce crappie stripped all the line from the tip-up and put up a 15-minute battle. That's an unusual tip-up catch and battle story for 14-year-old Ken Floyd, but he made the trophy book. And so did Tom Raftery from Garden City. A 44.5-inch northern pike on a tip-up from a lake in Oceana County. Tom says holding up this 20-pounder isn't easy. The pike is on its way to the taxidermist, and young Tom Rafferty is on his way to fame as our Michigan Outdoors Trophy Angler of the Week.
Lots of things going on in the Michigan legislature right now affecting hunters and fishermen. In fact, one of the bills they passed that the governor signed into law in December allows the use of handguns in southern Michigan during the gun deer season or firearm deer season. Now, there have been rumors floating around that the only calibers will be allowed are 44 caliber or larger handguns. That is simply not true. Jim Dabb from Law Enforcement Division of DNR says he's formulating a list right now, and that list will hopefully be out by sometime in April. Voluntary CEOs or volunteer CEOs that used to work with conservation officers, they were kind of shelved about 2 years ago when the Attorney General determined that he couldn't defend them in any civil case brought against them while they were working with a CEO. Well, in order to quell that and get the VCOs back on the road to help out our short number of conservation officers, Phil Arthur-Holtz introduced a bill, senator from Muskegon. It has passed and is on its way to the governor. Hopefully this is going to help. Moratorium on grouse. Now, if there's one bill in the legislature that I would bet my last dollar is going to be passed, is going to be this bill to put a moratorium on the grouse season during the gun deer season, November 15th through the 30th. There's no real biological reason we have to do it, but there is a pretty good sociological reason. A lot of grouse hunters feel that a lot of these birds are shot with rifles during the gun deer season, and therefore go to waste. So that bill I expect to be on for final passage by next week. Also, another bill to have across-the-board hunter safety. Well, that is on tap for the House Conservation Committee, and that would be for any first-time hunter, regardless of age, before they could buy a license. In this outdoor reminder this week, the sturgeon spearing season runs to February 28th on Black, Mullet, and Burt Lakes.
There's hardly any time of year that brings out more concern about safety than ice fishing season, thin ice, which is probably why we have these letters right now.
In fact,
Bob.
we've got a letter that we ought to call a long-distance letter from Doug Morrison of Garibaldi Highlands, get this, Fred, British Columbia. He says, I expect that you have had camera flare problems with Blaze or Hunter Orange on your show, and consequently have not always modeled good practice of your people wearing it at all times in the field. I believe the answer is for you to make up a few dozen vests and hats in a shade of regular non-blaze orange that looks like blaze orange on camera. Then every time you are on camera, have everyone dressed in the special gear so you can appear to be modeling proper practice, which is what's important considering your large audience. On a similar note, I think you should have your people wearing life jackets more of the time while wading deep streams, children on the riverbanks, etc.
I've thought about this question a lot, Doug, that you asked, and I guess the key to it is where you said, wear this special gear. It is special gear. Blaze orange is not something that is really attractive. It's for safety only. The big life jackets, the kind that you are looking for, because you don't see the ones that we slip underneath our jackets, the foam type that are designed to be attractive. You don't see those. But these types of things are special gear that we wear when it's appropriate. And you see us wear that on the show when we're out in the field hunting or when we're in a dangerous situation in a boat. Otherwise, if it isn't necessary, we use our judgment. And like I hope you do and all of our viewers, use your judgment when it comes to these questions, when you shouldn't wear them. But you certainly don't have to wear them all the time. I think that's the answer to that. When it's appropriate.
Good judgment and error safely.
Right.
Okay, another question too, Fred, from John Stantz. He writes, while hunting with a handgun in Michigan, do you have to leave one chamber empty, or can you hunt with a full 6 shots?
Hey, John, you're talking about a revolver here. The answer is no. The law does not require that you leave a chamber empty. And what you're talking about, I'll explain to the audience here. I have spent shells, empty shells, in the gun that I use, the revolver I use, and you can see here I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shells in the cylinder, 1 empty. Now, I still hunt this way even though the law does not require it, and it isn't necessary for safety, but the reason this came about is you put the dead cylinder right below the hammer, and then the old guns used to be able to fire if they were bumped like that. The new ones can't. This one can't. Most new ones can't. It's a good habit to get into. You can't be too safe when it comes to guns. So I guess that's the answer to that. You don't have to, but it's a good idea, good practice to get into. Now that we're off the hot seat, our questions are done. Here's your question, folks, in the Outdoor Quiz.
Over the past century, which population has expanded faster, humans or the white-tailed deer? In the past 100 years, the U.S. population has increased 4 times, while the white-tailed deer population increased by 24 times, from about 500,000 in 1880 to over 12 million today.
If ice fishing on half-frozen rivers in February doesn't ring your chimes, maybe some of our summertime activities at Houghton Lake at our outdoor fair will suit you better. Besides the good fishing in Houghton Lake the last weekend in June, we'll have lots of hunting, fishing, and shooting sports activities for you to watch and participate in at the outdoor fair. The duck hunting demonstrations at the Limberlost Dock are always a popular attraction. Members of the Michigan Duck Hunters Association explain all facets of duck hunting. They show how they train their dogs, set decoys, and of course they'll be holding our nationally sanctioned duck and goose calling championship at the fair this year. But the dogs always steal the show, and this year we'll have more breeds, retrievers, setters, and pointers than we've had before, demonstrations. Everybody loves to watch good hunting dogs in action. And if you really want to experience a duck hunting simulation, try the layout boat.
Say pull when you're ready.
Pull.
The Michigan duck hunters can give you pointers on shotgun skills, and you can take a couple shots.
A little bit longer on the bird and then squeeze your trigger off. Safety's on.
Pull.
Perfect hit. See, with a little instruction, it isn't so difficult. Thousands of people are able to put shotguns, handguns, and muzzle loaders in their hands for the first time and squeeze off a round, thanks to the efforts of members of the Duck Hunters Association chapters around the state, especially Houghton Lake's Deadstream chapter. Muzzle loaders from clubs all over Michigan give people a chance to put a muzzle loader in their hand, and handgun silhouette shooters do too.
Hold your gun down. Bring it up to the target. Don't cowboy it. Don't go up like this, because you might shoot over the woods. We don't know what's over the woods.
Tim Farragon is a member of the Great Lakes Handgun Metallic Silhouette Association, and he's one of the instructors who introduces a lot of people to their first experience with a big bore handgun. Safety is stressed, and all of this shooting is done under strict, but I assure you, very friendly supervision.
As a Magnum bullet, I've got them loaded down for guys like you and some ladies that want to shoot them and don't want to shoot the heavy guns. All right? Get right up here and relax. I'm going to load the gun up for you. You aim at that big ram down there. Now remember, hold the gun down, cock the gun, bring it up to your target, and then shoot.
Shooting sports, hunting, fishing, seminars, exhibits, all at the outdoor fair, one of the top outdoor events of the year coming up on our outdoor calendar.
Continuing through Sunday is the Detroit Boat Show at Cobo Hall. Wally Tabor has his last safari show appearances of this season in Midland on Friday and Saginaw on Saturday night. Hunter safety courses are being offered this weekend at Point Moulier Shooting Range. That's also the site of a rifle shoot sponsored by the Downriver Rifle Association. Muzzleloaders will want to travel to Tecumseh this weekend for a muzzleloading shoot. The Mid-Michigan chapter of the Wild Turkey Federation is holding a turkey calling class on Monday night at the Bay City Community Center. On Wednesday, the 11th annual Michigan Waterfowl Association banquet will be held in Marquette, an important event for UP duck hunters. The Central Michigan Sports Show is coming up next weekend, Friday through Sunday, the 14th through the 16th. Now that's at the Lansing Civic Center. Babe Winkleman and Fred Trost will both be there all weekend with seminars. This is Fred Trost's only sports show appearance this winter. We'll all be at the Stroh's Hunting Awards banquet on February 22nd, along with over 100 big buck, elk, and turkey award winners from 1985. Followed on April 5th by the Stroh's Fishing Awards banquet, also at Roma's of Livonia. Both of them are big nights for sportsmen. Don't forget Fred Trost's Outdoor Fair coming up the last weekend in June at Houghton Lake. If you missed a number, call the Travel Bureau toll-free at 1-800-292-2520. And that wraps up a very busy week on the Michigan Outdoors calendar.
I don't know if this is the best part of ice fishing, but it's certainly one of the big joys, and that's the walleye that Bob got when we were ice fishing in the Tittabawassee 2 weeks ago.
It was fun and it tastes good too.
Oh, it is.
And a
fresh
little
good.
bluegill tossed in here doesn't hurt that we've caught.
You can't beat the taste of those, either one of those.
Save that extra bluegill for me too.
Yeah. But why put the breading on it, Kathy?
Well, it does give it a little bit of extra coating. You've got flour, salt. This is a tangy batter. Water, and vinegar, and baking soda. And it's surprising what the baking soda does in this recipe.
It sounds like a Mr. Wizard science project of some sort.
Right, it does sound like it's going to blow up. Okay, just going to stir this so most of the lumps are out, and it doesn't take very long at all. And the vinegar, now there's where you get your tangy taste. It almost tastes like lemon is in the batter.
It does. It doesn't taste like vinegar,
no.
but you can taste it in the breading.
Yep.
Well, this is sort of breading. It's a coating.
Yes, and, right, and it's very thin. Now watch this, it just thickens right up.
I remember the first time we did this. The look
Looks
on
like
your
it was
face,
gonna-
Kathy. Yeah, we
Looks
didn't
like it's
know
going to go right out of the bowl.
when this was going to stop.
Right, and it does.
But you want to put the fish in very soon.
Yeah, because it will kill it right away.
And there's some of that walleye.
Oh yeah, you can't beat the taste of that, and it doesn't take long.
No spices.
None. No seasoning, salt.
Well, just a little bit of
Just
salt
a little
was
bit
in
of
there,
salt.
but
No pepper, nothing else.
and there it is in the frying pan, and here we have it, walleye and bluegill. Unfortunately, I guess we might as well say that this
Yes.
batch right here was not cooked in a cast iron skillet. It was cooked in the metal
Aluminum,
type of
yes.
skillet,
It does make a difference.
which we won't use again.
Pepper.
Some of the breading stuck to the pan, but there's still enough left that, well, Bob just crunched it down. I heard him.
You know, the recipe all makes sense, though. When you go to someplace good that serves fried fish or cod or whatever, a good place, they always have malt vinegar or
That's
whatever
right.
to add to it.
That's
Or
right.
lemon. So, you know, why wouldn't it work?
Add it right to the recipe.
That's
Really
right.
good.
A tasty, tasty batter. Beer batter is good, but a lot of people who try this are surprised they even prefer this.
Right,
To the
it's
beer
just
batter,
a little
it's
bit different.
little
Mind
bit
if I
different
finish the
flavor.
bluegill on my finger?
No, go ahead, and then you can dig into this right here, Bob, but in just a minute. First of all, if you'll tell the folks where they can get a copy of the recipe.
Keeping it simple is always the best advice in formulating any fish batter, and this recipe is simple enough. It's in this issue of Fred Trost's Outdoor Digest, along with great articles on hunting and fishing. For a free copy, write to us here at Fred Trost's Outdoor Digest, P.O. Box 6001, East Lansing, Michigan, 48823.
Well, that gives them a little help.
Oh yeah, quite a little help.
Now, have you caught walleye here quite a few times before?
No, this is my first time here.
No kidding?
Right.
Okay, these are
Since about 2 o'clock.
so in 3 hours you picked up 2 walleye.
Yeah, and I lost 3. So.
Oh, did you?
Oh yeah.
How come?
Well, you don't catch them all.
How are the other people doing?
Every once in a while, a guy gets one.